more people now. Hello, hello. It is time to get ready to watch the sunset. So let me explain to you how to watch the sunset. That sounds really silly, doesn't it? Yeah, we have 7 minutes. I need someone to be a
if I could have line of sight for the microphone, that would be
Yes. Okay, I would like you to tell me when it is 6:53 and then 6:55. Okay? You can work with somebody near you who's got a phone. All right, so this park is wonderful. I still, even though I've talked to the parks many times, have no idea who designed it, but it works, I think. Let's check today. All right, sweetheart, I love this. Let's hold it up. It
actually lines up with the stone.
Yeah, you're doing an amazing job for me. Let's not do any more drawing while I'm talking because it makes a grating noise. This is my daughter Vera, who is wonderfully adding a grid for us. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so as you know, the sun sets in the west, always, no matter what, but at different times of the year, it sets in slightly different positions west, sometimes a little north of west, sometimes a little south of west. Today, we are at the Equinox, which is, it means equal night. Today is not the exact equal day-night day. We're off by a little bit from that, but this is the position in our orbit where we are exactly lined up. So this is where the sun will, this is the point in our orbit where the sun will set exactly due west. Okay? I'm going to be doing a lot of facing that way because of the sun being over here. So I just apologize for turning my backs to I have many backs. Okay, so the sun is going to set right here. This is due west, where this stone says the vernal and autumnal equinox. It also will line up with this marker right in the middle and that pathway there. So in order to see the alignment, the best place to be is all the way at the back. Okay, so that's for the two equinoxes. Before we move, I'll tell you what the other lines are for. So in the equinox, the sun rises due east, which is that way, comes across the sky to about 44 degrees high here in Seattle, and then it sets due west. Okay, so it would rise over there, but you're not going to be able to see it. It goes to about 44 and sets due west. That's both equinoxes, spring and fall. Did you have a question? Okay. What's the next season after fall?
Winter.
In winter, the sun rises south of east, and it comes up to about 22 degrees, so very low in the sky, and it sets south of west. So this will be our alignment for winter. It would rise over there, but to see the alignment, we stand at the back of that line at winter. Okay, you can also see that that's a shorter path in winter. In summer, the sun rises north of east. This is the summer solstice. It gets up to about 66. That's about the highest, so 90 is straight up. It gets up to about 66 here in Seattle, and then it sets north of west. That's a much longer path. I mean, I'm having to stretch to show you that path. So our days are longer because it takes the sun longer to move through the sky. Sun's not moving, Earth is turning, but you know, what we see is sun moving. Okay, so that's the path for summer, and to see that, you stand back there and you watch it line up this way with this lovely lady showing you exactly where the sun would set on the summer solstice. So again, everything lines up. How are we doing on time?
35 seconds.
35 seconds. Okay, 35 seconds. So what we are going to do is I'll move, that's till 53, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a minute and a quarter until we, till the sunset time. So we're all going to move to the back over there, and I will help you look for the alignment, and we'll see if we see it. All right. No, I'm not going to have you stand here right now. I'll leave this here. I'm just going to have you stand.
Don't forget your phone.
Here. That's one.
So let's stay with me.
It doesn't look like it's going to show up for real.
3 seconds.
But you can, 3 or 30? 30. 30. Okay, 30 seconds. It does look like it's getting brighter through there. So why don't you mill around a little bit and let other people take a turn looking along the alignment? I don't think anybody's going to see the full-on thing. But if we just, a few people move in, if you're on the line, if you take a step off so someone else can take a step in. 5 seconds. 5 seconds. 2, 1. Sunset. Sort of. All right. Everyone take a chance to look along this line and stand one. I do see it getting brighter through there.
Trying to see the rays of the sun hitting the cloud top, sort of. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah. It is getting bright right there. So we may see some semblance of alignment, if not complete alignment. All right? Yeah, because it is getting brighter through that pathway.
I think it was too optimistic when I brought my telescope.
That line is getting brighter. We still have a couple minutes. But it's almost through it.
My sister wants
And so if there were clouds on it's shining straight down this path. But because they're like it is a bit
South
but this guy doesn't.
It's pretty right over there. One thing I would like to say is you'll see that that right spot is pretty far off to the left. And if you think that that's the sun, it's not like that.
Probably not.
We have a couple problems here. One is the bright spot is not the sun, or it would be a lot brighter. Don't look at the sun without protection. Okay. It's not actually the sun in that bright spot. That's just the brightest spot we can see in the sky right now. And also, I think we do have a couple more minutes, and the sun moves at an angle like this, okay? Because we're at 47 degrees latitude, so the sun's motion, as I showed you, it comes up here, it goes to 44, and then it sets at an angle. So instead of going straight down, it's coming in at an angle. So at the actual moment of actual sunset, it should be lined up with this pathway exactly. Since this is not the moment of actual sunset, or maybe it is, but we can't see the actual sun, we can't see that alignment.
Well, and how much difference in the actual time of sunset do the Olympic Mountains make to us?
Yes, exactly. And that's one of the reasons that I subtract 10 minutes, because we've noticed the sunset's about 10 minutes earlier here than what your clock set, if you have a little calendar app, it says sunset at 7:04. No, that has not been our experience in 34 of these. What? It's doing good. Okay, great. I'm glad to hear it. My daughter would like to tell you it's doing good. I'm sure it's something very important. Okay. All right. We're definitely now past sunset, so we're not going to see any more alignment, but we'll keep trying. We'll be back next year, in 3 months for the solstice, the next equinox, the next solstice, the next equinox. I think we've been seeing, I don't know, where's Patrick? Patrick! What have we been seeing? About a quarter or a third of them we actually see the sun? Half? Half? Tracy says that. All right. Tracy says we tend to see it about half the time. So this was the not half, but this is a very close half. If you would like to learn more about why we have an equinox, we're going to go over there and do that. And then we'll talk about the eclipse if you want to, or the death of the sea. Let's go back over there.
They got the job done.
Thank you.
I'm Miss Alcino's. I'm in the Miss Alcino's astronomy class.
Oh, hey! Yeah! Well, say hi to him for me. Yeah, and tell him to give you a credit for coming.
Yeah,
Okay, good. I'm glad to hear it. All right, I need everybody in a big circle all the way around. Mama! Yes! I want to know how big the earth. Okay, I need the help for the earth. Okay? I'm gonna get somebody else to be helpful for the sun. Oh no, you gotta wait and do exactly what I'm saying. Okay, so it makes sense. Okay, so why do we have seasons?
Über 6 noch.
Why do we have seasons? Okay, so I need a volunteer, but you were already the timekeeper, and I know you're awesome. volunteer for
That's my
this?
sister.
Yeah? Okay. Well, then I'd pick 2 from the same family. Okay, come on up. What's your name? Dash. All right, right? Okay, Dash is going to be the sun for us. All right, can you shine brightly like the sun? All right, here, Vera, can you step over here, please? Dash, I'd like you to stand right there in the middle, on top of that star, and be the sun. Okay? Dash is the sun, and my daughter Vera is going to be the earth. Yeah, can you pull the earth the other way up, please? So that I don't have to do this all backwards. Okay, otherwise, I mean, it works, but I just have to do it all the other way. All right, so Vera is holding the earth. How should Vera hold the earth?
Slightly tilted.
Slightly tilted. Which way should she tilt it?
27 degrees.
Yeah, so it's 23 because the 7-3, but yes, I mean, you're totally on the right track. So 23.5 degrees, which way? She's got to, that way? Here, tilt it towards Dash. Like that? Which way should, all right, I'm confused. All right, so we're gonna do some yoga. Remember what I said about how in the winter, the sun rises south of east. It comes up to about 22, and then it sets south of west. Okay? It's pretty low in the sky. And then in the summer, it's very high in the sky. It gets up to about 66. Okay? So you are all the Earth. All right? Because we're in a circle. That's our orbit, our circle around the sun. Dash the sun. So you are all the Earth. So the tip of your nose is top of the Space Needle. Okay? Right? Okay. So, so what you are doing right now is noon at the Space Needle. Show me what midnight at the Space Needle looks like. Everybody turning around? Face away? Perfect. Come back to noon. Good job. All right, so you're the Earth. So back of your head is like China right now. This is the Space Needle. Got Australia. Okay. So the Earth is tilted. Let's try tilting towards Dash. Everybody.
Why is your tilted?
Because it is. Precession, if you spin a top, it eventually, I mean, it doesn't stay straight up forever, because that would be perpetual motion. Thank you, eternal motion. That'd be like perpetual motion. It can't just stay straight up forever. Gyroscopes do a great job, but still not all the way. Okay, so eventually it tilts. The Earth is spinning like a top, so eventually it tilts. Or it got hit by something. The tilt is moving, but it's tilted. That's the part we're gonna stick with. So everybody tilt towards Dash. Keep your head in line with your spine. All right, so you should be seeing mostly the ground right now. Using just your eyes, look up into the sky and look down your nose. Which way makes it easier for you to see Dash? Looking up? All right, everybody look at Dash. With your head tilted down, look at Dash, our sun. Do you have to look up or down your nose? Up. Okay, great. Stand up. Don't fall over. So when we're tilted towards the sun, we look up, and that means the sun is up higher in the sky. So which season was that where the sun is higher in the sky? Summer. Right. Okay. So in summer, the Earth is tilted towards. Let's do the opposite. Everybody lean back just a little bit. Gaze at the sky. All right, look around for Dash, using just your eyes. Do you have to look up into the sky or down your nose? Down. Stand up, shake it out. Nice. Stretches for the equinox. Down your nose. What season was it when the sun was down low in the sky? Winter. Okay, so in winter, the Earth is tilted away from the sun. And in summer, the Earth is tilted towards the sun. All right? Here, Vera. It is now time for us to do this tilt. All right, so the thing about the Earth's tilt is, for all intents and purposes, yes. Yeah. Okay. Yes. The moment of the equinox was today at recess. 107, 102, 102. Okay. Yeah.
All right.
So the Earth's axis is pointed at the North Star. Always. That's why it's the North Star, because no matter how the Earth spins, this keeps pointing at the North Star, and the North Star stays in the same place. Right? So the Earth's axis is pointed at the North Star. And so what does that make this season right here? Hold it tilted just like this. What season is this for the Northern Hemisphere?
Summer.
Summer, we're tilted towards. When we were tilted towards, we had to look up. Dash was high in the sky. Okay, so this is summer. Let's go do the opposite. Now we keep it pointed the same direction as we go through the orbit. Exactly the same direction. We don't move it at all. It sort of looks like it's moving, but it's not moving. Now we're on the opposite side. We're tilted away, still towards the North Star. So what season is this?
Winter.
Winter. Because of the Earth's tilt, which does not change, but the relationship of the tilt to the sun changes. Wait, we missed 2 seasons. Okay, what do we have in between? Where are we right now? We're at winter. Okay,
Fall.
yeah,
Oh,
autumn
no,
for real.
winter.
Okay, come around here. So we'll go halfway along the grid. Halfway here is autumn, and this is where that equal part comes in. If you'll notice, here's a great what?
Spring, between winter and summer.
Spring, winter to summer, spring. Thank you. Awesome. Yes, I failed. I said the wrong thing. Okay, so here we are. Here's a great math word for you. Tangent. Right? Is that the right math word? Wait, I just got lost in my head. Okay, tangent. This is when the Earth's axis, still pointed the same direction, is exactly aligned with the orbit. Okay, those 2 lines are tangent to each other. If we move a little this way, this axis crosses the orbit. But if we're right here at the moment of equinox, it's exactly flat on. We're not towards, we're not away, we're exactly flat on to our sun dash. Okay, so winter, spring, summer. We gotta do this too. Get enough days in, and here we are, fall, the autumnal equinox. Here, give us a day. Which happened, and so that moment, that exact position, it's just like an instantaneous position on the orbit, was at 1:02 today. But these are lined up not for the moment of the equinox, but for the sunset on the equinox or the solstice. So that's why we meet it in the evening. Questions about seasons? Yes.
So are the dates of the equinox in southern hemisphere?
Yes, they are. So it goes the other way because they're tilted towards or away the opposite from us. So in winter for us, we're tilted away. They're tilted towards. So that's summer for them. So they go summer, and then after summer is fall, but this is spring for us. And then after spring comes winter. We're tilted towards, but they're away. They get the sun's rays at a lower angle. They get fewer sun's rays. So this is winter for them, summer for us, and then the opposite here. We're in fall, they're in spring. So they're having spring right now. Yes. 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 It would be, and if there weren't all these trees and hill and houses there, you'd be able to see it line up right there. And in fact, you could do the opposite. You could stand on this stone and watch it rise, or stand on that stone and watch it rise in summer. Yes. Yes.
Did you put the end of the stick on either pole?
Did I put the end of the stick on either pole?
Were you the one who made the sticks?
Yes, I worked very hard to make this because when I was working at the Pacific Science Center, the Earth on a Stick was my absolute very favorite astronomy teaching prop. And I got them a new one, and I inherited the broken one, which had a concave Antarctica at that point. And so I used that one for like the first 32 of these, and finally it broke in half. Just cardboard, it was just terrible. So I made my own, but I had to design it to like take bearings and be plastic and more weatherproof because I'm not inside a planetarium, I'm out here in the elements.
Alice,
Yes.
just as a footnote, since I am now at the Pacific Science Center, in the Space and Astronomy area in Building 2, we now have a globe about twice the diameter of that has a 400 times exaggeration to its elevation,
Yes.
and I would recommend taking a look at that sometime because it's quite weird.
Yes.
But
That's a very
it doesn't have an
tactile-
axis through it. It's just a normal globe. So yeah. Anyway.
If you ever teach astronomy, make yourself one of these. All right. You guys want to talk about the eclipse? What'd you do for the eclipse? Oh, wait. Thank you so much. Let's big round of applause for Dash. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. You too. Yes.
Wait, so the question is what we did.
Yeah. What'd you do for the eclipse?
Well, I drove up to Oregon
Uh-huh.
and watched it from the side of the freeway.
Yes.
From
Did
where
you see
in Oregon?
totality?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Where in Oregon?
I'm not quite sure. On the side of the freeway.
On the side of the freeway. There you
Oh,
go.
okay.
The same? Or are you going to
No.
add to it? No.
I was down in Seattle. I was actually doing a play in Moana, so I just went outside the building and took out the glass.
She
Neat.
used the glasses you gave her.
Awesome.
You saw the
Good. Those
93%,
were okay glasses.
Right?
I checked them. I bought them direct from the manufacturer, so I know they were okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Watched it near,
Wonderful.
near the Morgan Junction.
Yeah.
And the temperature change was really cool, and it just
Yes.
dimmed.
Yes.
Like a
It was about
Yeah.
5 to 7 degrees drop in Salem.
Yeah. We got we're Jason.
Right back up.
What was our temperature? So we were in Baker City. We were we were at a campsite on Phillips Lake, just outside of Baker City, Oregon. So we went out east to like Walla Walla and then down. We had no traffic. Yeah. And that was fairly quick. The temperature drop started about half an hour before totality.
It was very definitely, it was slow at first, then dropped off very quickly.
And
And
then
it continued to cool after totality
Yeah,
for
because
just a little bit.
temperature is one of those things that, like when you turn off the burner on a stove, if you don't have a fire stove, what do you call it? Gas? If you don't have a fire stove. I'm sorry, I don't, like, it's gonna explode in my face. Give me a regular burner anytime. But even if you actually have a gas stove, the burner itself, you turn that off, it doesn't instantly get cool. It takes a while for it to cool down. The same is with warming up. Just like in the morning, and in fact, right after totality for an eclipse is kind of like another morning, and it has been described that way by the Native American nation that is near the M city in Oregon that everybody went to except us. Madras, yes.
Address. Yeah.
Madras. There's a Native American nation. They've got stories about like a second dawn. Really cool stuff. But so it takes a while to warm up in the morning. We don't go from it's nighttime and cool to the sun is up and now it's the full hot temperature that it's going to be for the day. So that's why you've got a little bit of lag there. More eclipse stories?
Well,
Yeah,
I
David?
was in Salem at the state fairgrounds, along with 9,000 other people. There was, of course, a NASA TV truck, and we saw the live feed, which was kind of weird because we could just look up and look at it. One of the things that I thought was sadly wrong about the Salem event, and I have to blame somebody for this, the city of Salem forgot to turn off their streetlights.
Oh.
And because of that, during totality, instead of being able to see Venus, which I did see, and Sirius, which somebody said they saw, but I didn't, and I was unable to see Mars and Jupiter and Regulus, which I should have been able to see. So I was a little disappointed. But I will say this, though. If you've never done a total solar eclipse in your life, please put it on your lifetime bucket list.
2024.
And you've got another dozen chances or so.
Well, actually,
Or you can go on a cruise.
of the children here who are roughly 10 years old, give or take a few years, you are now you're being called by demographers the eclipse generation. I like that appellation better than the E-gen. Okay, the reason is there are going to be 4 more total solar eclipses that cross the North American continent during your lifetime.
Oh, that's good.
So if you're willing to travel a little bit, rather than getting on a jet and flying halfway across the world, which is what most eclipse chasers do. 2024, Austin, Cleveland, Ontario, Maine. Then 2045, Oregon. Well, actually not Oregon. Northern California, Utah, Nevada, and down into Mexico.
2045, did you say?
Yes.
What year does Halley come back? Anybody remember? It's 2040 something, isn't it? Or is it 2063?
And what?
It's 2063, not 2040.
Well,
Okay, I was gonna
Halley's
say that's a big
Comet
year.
is 2062 or 3. I forget.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, okay.
I heard
And
the
then
40 and I thought maybe
the
it would
next
be
two-
an amazing year for science.
And the next 2 are 2079 and 2099 if you live that long. Okay. But anyway, the other thing about Salem that I thought was really interesting, aside from all the different things that people tell you to watch for, the 360-degree horizon. That was weird. And the speed of the moon's shadow, which is what, 20,
Yeah, we looked
1200
26,000,
1,200 or more miles an hour?
2600.
It literally rushes over you. It's really freaky. Okay? So if you ever have the chance to do that, like I have a friend in Austin, and I'm going to go down to Austin to view the next eclipse if I can get rustle up the money.
So were there? Did
Anybody
anybody
else?
else travel? Yeah. Yeah.
I was just south of Salem along I-5,
Cool.
Uh-huh.
and what struck me so vividly was just as the moon moved off the sun, the first little bit of sun exposed was absolutely blinding.
Yes.
I don't know what the percentage of the total.
It
What-
can be actually literally blinding.
Yeah, I mean we're all standing there watching the
Yep.
totality, bare-eyed, and
Yeah,
all of a
as-
sudden, boom!
As you go from diamond ring to diamond ring, that whole interval from first contact to fourth contact, if you're not really quick about putting your solar filter glasses back on, it could give you that awful after image, which I think you experienced,
And
right?
basically, one of the things is as soon as you saw it blinding, if you looked away, you're fine.
Yeah.
You know, because you look at the sun every day. Every single one of you has looked directly at the sun. The temptation during the eclipse is to stare. And so if you notice, oh, that's bright, and put something on, you were quick enough. It's like a microsecond, a second isn't going to hurt you permanently, but you might get that after image. Yeah.
We just lucked out because we didn't really have much of a plan except we drove down I-84 and we saw these post-apocalyptic towers in an abandoned cement plant in Lime, Oregon. So we went and we camped near there, and apparently some astronomers had scouted it out years ahead of time. So they were there and got to take photos through their telescope. And what was really cool to me was to see the birds fly back to roost.
Yeah.
At totality in the stacks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Animals and birds will
Yeah.
become very confused during the eclipse.
Yeah. Yeah, tell me about yours.
We were camping in Holder, Oregon, and the significant thing there was they were having their annual Crawdad Festival. We got a big plate of crawdads the day before.
Cool. I was one of the things I post on Facebook pictures of my feet in rivers. I call it river toes because I really like putting my feet. I mean, we've got these beautiful rivers in the Cascades, rocky, and it's just cool on your toes after you've been hiking. So I post pictures of my feet in rivers. And I went to post a picture of my feet we tried to find one in Oregon, and I had my toes in it, and then Heather said, I think I see a crawdad. I was like, I'm not going to put my feet in here anymore. Did you want to share something?
Yeah, real short.
Yeah.
So, as a kid, I don't know if it was 1970 or whatever, but did the pinhole through the card thing.
and we brought coloners so we could see a whole bunch of those little images. But then all you have to do is make your hand into a small hole, an aperture, and you can see the shadow.
You just do this.
And then your shadow is holding the eclipse.
Yeah.
Many of the eclipses. I love that one. I
You know-
do. I love that one.
In 2045, Seattle will have another partial eclipse. So you can do that.
And that's a
you're
great
around.
one for partials as well. Like
Yeah.
totality, you don't see anything for that. So what we had here in Seattle was a really good partial. It was pretty amazing. So those of you who stayed, that was cool in itself. I do want to tell you, if you're going to travel ever to see an eclipse, you've got to be in totality to make it worth the travel. Like totality is a completely different experience than the eclipse.
Oh.
Not to say eclipses are not cool in themselves.
Footnote to what you just said. For the 2024 eclipse, our totality this last time was about 2 minutes, give or take a few seconds, depending upon where you were along the path of totality.
2024
will be 4 minutes, 0.3 minutes.
And that'll still go
It's going to
like
be
that.
way over 4 minutes.
Yeah.
So, should you bother to travel to the path of totality? Oh, one other thing, the path of totality for us this last time was about 70 miles, 68, 70 miles.
Yeah, something like that. I kept saying 50
2024 is
because
going to
it's
be
easier
close to
remember.
80.
it's
So
gonna
you'll
be
have
more
a lot
direct
more
eclipse.
wiggle room.
So it's a lot more square on.
Yeah, the
eclipse,
reason
right?
why is depending on our distance from each, the moon and the sun, it varies a little bit. So if we are extremely close to the moon, if the moon is very close to us and the sun is very far from us during an eclipse, then you get a really great pass and it takes longer. If because the moon appears smaller and the sun appears smaller and the moon appears bigger, so you get a better coverage. You can also get coverage that goes across the side, so it just barely clips it and then it's out again. And you can get coverage that goes straight through the middle. That's what gives us the long ones. And then as we get closer or further, if you do the opposite, if the moon is farther from us in its orbit, not farther than usual, but on the far side, and we are on the close side to the sun, so that would be during winter for us, we're a little closer to the sun, and so then if the moon is at a farther position in its orbit, then you get what's called an annular eclipse, which is what we saw in California in 2012. It went through where you actually end up seeing a full ring of sun all the way around the moon. Okay, so we've got to be they don't just have to line up, but their distances from us have to be correct. We are extremely lucky. Nowhere else in the solar system that I know of has the sun and a moon within such close size in the sky that you can get these nice total eclipses. You can get coverage, but you don't get these perfect alignments, like where they seem to be almost the same size and just cover for a minute and then away. Okay, well, look, one last thing about the eclipse and then favorite Cassini bits? Yes.
I saw a hot air balloon watching the eclipse.
Yeah, we saw a plane go by, and we think it was the
plane.
NASA plane.
There were two chase planes, one out of Boeing Field and another one was out of
Anybody else see a
Missouri
plane
or
go by
something.
during the middle? 3, okay, yeah. Yeah, so we saw one go by right as totality was happening. It went by. We're like, that's got to be one of those chase planes because they'll get more totality. Because if you fly fast enough, you can't keep up with it because it goes too fast. But you can keep up enough that you can extend the time of totality. All right. Well, Cassini died. Cassini was in orbit around Saturn for many years. I did my 7th grade project on Cassini before Cassini even launched, as it was being decided, and then when I was graduating college is when it finally arrived at Saturn, and so I did some of my final college projects about stuff Cassini was doing, and I started work at the Pacific Science Center and wrote them a whole show with my friend Steve White and got all the props together for a show about Cassini. And now, last Friday, right? It's only been since Friday, it was decommissioned and sent crashing into Saturn. Unfortunately. Anybody have favorite pictures you've seen or favorite discoveries from Cassini that you love? I love Iapetus is one of my favorite moons of Saturn for two reasons. One, it's all very pristine white on one side and very, very dark, like coal dust on the other. And there was a mystery, where was that dark matter coming from? Because it wasn't coming from inside Iapetus. And it turns out it was coming from the moon that was just a little closer to Saturn. Was actually, dust was getting kicked off of that moon by meteorites and stuff, kicked up into orbit and then falling eventually onto Iapetus. The other thing, Iapetus has this ridge around it, and when we started to get those beautiful pictures back from Cassini, that ridge just looks like a spine of a dragon ready to like hatch out of the egg. And I love that.
Isn't there a moon that shoots out water and comes back as snow?
Yes, there
Which
are,
is that?
yeah, Enceladus
That's the one I
is
like.
one of the moons, and it's got geysers,
Yeah, geysers of
saltwater
water.
geysers
Yeah.
coming out, and then if you shoot water into space, it turns into snow or vaporizes, one or the other, and this is far enough away from the sun that it turns into snow, and so that'll fall back down, or it falls into orbit. Enceladus is one of the great places that we would love to look for life, because you can, it's spitting its stuff out into space, so we don't have to land on it in order to get a sample. And anywhere that we're thinking about landing, that we're thinking about looking for life, we have to be super careful. The Planetary Protection Officer, her job, like seriously, is one of her pieces of her job is not to contaminate worlds that might have life on them with our life. For two reasons. One, that would suck to wipe it out with one of our little buggies. And two, if we then try to detect life there and detect life, we won't know if it was ours or if it was there beforehand. So, two major reasons for the Planetary Protection Officer. But that matters if you want to land on like Europa covered in ice, melt a hole and go into that ocean down there and look around or take a sample. Then if you want to examine that sample or do a test that you don't have on board your little submarine rover, you've got to somehow launch that back off of Europa and come back to Earth. That's a very expensive mission right there. Enceladus, we could just like have a little bucket, fly up to Enceladus. It's spewing its stuff into space. We fly by, say, thanks, I'm going to take some of this water, and then gravity slingshot back around that, back around Saturn, Jupiter, whatever, come back to Earth, and we've got a sample. And in
Be just
fact,
like
we
Stardust.
have, yeah, it'd be just exactly like
Stardust mission.
Yeah. Chris McKay is one of NASA's astrobiologists, and that's his push. He's like, let's go to Enceladus and get some of that stuff. And in fact, we have places on Earth. You're like, well, what if that War of the Worlds thing happens? Where, like, what if those are buggies? There are buggies in it. You know, germs. That's buggies means germs in my speak, and they make us sick. What about that? Well, turns out we have places on Earth that are designed to deal with potential unknown pathogens. There's a boat that I think is over in Australia that has a lab specifically designed to examine foreign matter that might have pathogens. Mostly, I think they examine stuff from like the seafloor or other places that have been isolated for a long time, and I don't know what else. But we already have ways to deal with this and look at it. Or we could have the astronauts look at it in space. And then if there are germs, well, but then we've infected 6 of our best astronauts. That's not a great choice, but we could examine it in space pretty safely.
Yes, so if any of you are sad somehow that the 20-year mission of Cassini is now gone because we had to crash it into the planet, let me remind you that we still have 5 probes either orbiting or on Mars, and we now have a new probe orbiting Jupiter called Juno, and it's sending back cool images.
It is.
And I would recommend that you go online and take a look at those because they're really cool looking, especially some of the more unexpected polar storms on Jupiter that we had absolutely no idea were there.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Did they crash it
for contamination, to prevent contamination.
That's exactly
Yes.
what they. That's
Because
exactly.
they don't
right.
want it to accidentally crash into Iapetus, or I'm not Iapetus, they're not, I mean, maybe, but Enceladus or Europa is Jupiter. What am I saying?
Europa
Europa
is Jupiter. So
but
Juno is going to be looking at
Enceladus or any of the others that are potentially life, whereas Saturn is not life as we know it, and it'll just completely vaporize on its way in. So,
Actually, there is, under the NASA Innovative and Advanced Concepts Program, NIAC, which I've actually attended once or twice, there are now proposals in the design stage, for example, to launch a submarine that will sail and submerge in the seas of Titan.
oh, okay, methane
And they're
seas.
thinking of doing the same thing with Europa and Enceladus, if they can ever get there and get underneath the ice crust.
All right. Last
So-
question. Oh my goodness! Thank you. Look at that beautiful moon. Yeah.
Thank you for being observant.
Yes. The moon.
That's the whole point of this day, right?
The moon
This whole
in this
event.
position will not align with this for setting, because the moon is in the position for where the sun would be in a month or two, a month and a half, maybe 2 months. So it won't line up when the moon sets. But please take pictures. Send them places. All right. Yeah.
That wasn't the question I was trying about.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, thank you very much for coming. As we head into Halloween, I want to remind you about. Well, I'll see you in 3 months up here. I want to remind you about the Teal Pumpkin Project because it's supportive of kids and people with food allergies. So just have some little treasures that aren't food in a separate bowl and offer them. You could do like glow sticks, or we're gonna do slime because we go way over the top. But I have a ton of food allergies, and Halloween is like my favorite holiday. But then I get this bag. Used to get this bag of candy that I couldn't eat, and that like a few treasures in there, super awesome. You don't even have to ask kids if they're food allergic. Just offer some things that aren't. And you can put up a teal pumpkin picture. You can look it up, foodallergy.org. You can look it up. You put up a teal pumpkin picture in your window, or paint one of your pumpkins teal so that people know that you're participating. It's super awesome. You can also, like, if you're anti-candy, it's good. It's good for a lot of people who are like, that candy's not going to work for me. So I'm not saying no candy. I'm saying let's think about all the different options. So thank you very, very much for coming.
Thank you. Thank you, as always.
Yes, you may spin my
Anybody
globe.
here a former Boy Scout? I have something to show you. The Eclipse Merit Badge. Isn't that cool?